Hello and welcome back to my knitting journey. I'm Vanessa and this is a knitting podcast. To all the people who've been here before, welcome back, and to new viewers, you're welcome to stay and I hope you'll enjoy this video. So to clarify, this is a knitting podcast, so I talk about what I'm knitting on, what I finished, what new yarn related things I bought. Yeah, that's also basically the layout of the video. I'm gonna first show you what I finished since last time, then what I am knitting on and the progress of the things I showed you before, and also new things I've got, which is a very short segment in this episode because, as I told you last time, I'm not gonna buy any more yarn until I have finished all of the projects that I told you about. But before I get into my finished objects for this episode, I wanted to thank all of the lovely and helpful comments I got on my last episode regarding the traumatic blocking experience I had with my first sweater. So basically, more experienced knitter than me told me that it's probably was a combination of it being a cotton blend yarn, which tends to grow when blocking, me having a pretty loose gauge, which I know I do, and back then even more, and also it's just being a garter stitch object that also tends to grow quite a lot when blocking. So all of these things playing together is the reason why the sweater grew so much when getting wet. And I just wanted to mention it here for all of the people who had the same problems and didn't know the explanation for it. Oh, and also a lot of people said that making a swatch beforehand helps with this. And I know that I do swatch my yarn now before going into a project, but this was about 1.5 years ago and I had no idea what a swatch was. I didn't know yarn could react like this. And yeah, now I know, and I hope this is not gonna happen to me again. Okay, finished objects. So the first finished object I have is this sweater. It's the Daily Ritual Raglan by Park Knit. I showed you the yarn multiple times and I showed the sweater before. It's the woolly knit British wool yarn in the color shell, held together with Keats Gun mohair in the color Pink Cobblestones. I am going to try and insert like a clip of me wearing this so you can see it a bit better and also when it's worn. I don't know if I'm gonna manage to do this because I'm pretty new to editing, so if you do see a clip now, I did manage to do this. If not, I'll try to figure it out for the next video. So about this sweater, I made one of these before. I knitted it in Knitting for Olive, mohair and merino yarn, and for that one I sticked pretty much all the way through the pattern. I made some accommodations to fit my body a little bit better, but for this one I did do some more changes. First of all, I made all of the ribbing a twisted rib and also shorter than in the original one, and I made the neck not a folded over turtleneck but more of like a short turtleneck to mock neck, just to make it look different to the other sweater. And I also really like how this looks in the twisted rib. I still have to weave in all of my ends. I haven't done that yet. I just finished it yesterday evening. And yeah, what else? I knitted the body longer than the pattern said, just to make it fit me a little bit better. And I also made less decreases in the arms and knitted them a little bit longer. For the cuffs, I forgot to decrease my needle size. So I'll have to see if this is tight enough or if I will rip back the cuffs and knit them again. That would be a very quick fix, but I actually prefer my cuffs not to be too tight, so I'll have to see. And this is how much yarn I have left. I have this little ball of the British wool shell color and a larger one. And I have this much of the Keats gun. And I don't know why I don't trust my own yarn choices while knitting, because I buy a certain quantity of yarn and I calculate and I'm pretty certain it's gonna be enough for my project. And then while knitting, I panic and I think it's not going to be enough. I'm going to have to play yarn chicken, and then I have this much left, which is basically almost half of a skein. Yeah, I think I just have to rely a little bit more on my initial instincts instead of doubting myself. Yeah, and this is finished object FO number 1 and also the only one. I had quite a lot going on with university lately, so I wasn't able to make and finish a ton of projects, but as I am flying back to Luxembourg tonight, I still wanted to show everything to you before going back, because I'll stay there for a month this time. And I don't yet know if I'm gonna take all of my projects, what I will be able to take and what not, because I haven't finished packing my suitcase yet. So yeah, that's why I wanted to get this filmed before leaving. So whips, work in progress objects, and this is my first whip. It is the Shimo sweater. I also showed this to you last time. Most of the things I'll show you today you've seen before, if you have seen my previous video. This is how it looks like now. I'm currently at the 4th repeat of the lace pattern. Now, for the lace pattern, I think it's super pretty, but I'm a bit frustrated right now. This is my first time doing any kind of lace, and in the first repeat I did quite a lot of mistakes, and then I didn't do any mistakes anymore per se, but I just noticed a few rows back that I've been doing my purled yarn over wrong. I think I have been doing a purl side yarn over instead of a knit to purl yarn over, which is done differently. And I did notice that something was off with the yarn overs. I'll try to show you on this side, but I thought, oh, maybe it's gonna come out with blocking. And then yesterday I thought it's kind of strange, so I looked up how to do the yarn over again, and yeah, I've been doing it wrong. I'm not so motivated to keep working on this right now, but I also am not gonna rip back, so I think I'm just gonna put it to the side for a few days and continue knitting on it. And I don't think that when I wear it afterwards that it's gonna be noticeable to other people, but I know, and that kind of bothers me. It just bothers me that I've been making this mistake all through the pattern. But hey, that goes to show that I'm just starting off and I'm at the beginning of this journey and I have still a lot of things to learn. It also shows you that making mistakes is normal and everybody makes mistakes. I am knitting the sweater in Knitting for Olive Merino and Knitting for Olive Mohair. I'm going to put all of the details in the description down below. They are always in the description, what yarn I'm using, who the yarn is from, what pattern, links to the pattern and everything like that. The next work in progress. This one has been with me for a long time. It's my scarf, and it's still in this horrendous pink bag. I'm not going to talk so much about this because I've showed it multiple times. If you want to know a little bit more about it, you can just watch one of my other videos. It's in almost every video. Yeah, I haven't made a lot of progress in this. I only gotten to this point. So what I think I'm gonna do is I will take this to Luxembourg with me, and I will try and finish it there. So this is one of the projects I'm certainly going to take with me tonight. And I don't think there's a lot more to say about this right now. It's just I have to work on it, I have to finish it, so it doesn't become an, what do you call that, like a never to be finished whip. Next one, I told you I want to make this last time, and I started knitting it. It's the starter sweater by Park Knit, and I haven't done much yet. I'm still on the yoke. As you can see, it's a very simple construction with just some make one right or left to increase. And yeah, last time, wait, I'm gonna show you the yarn. This is knit in the Rosa Pomar Busca yarn in the natural true colored colorway. So it's just an undyed black sheep's yarn and an undyed white sheep's yarn that is twisted together. And this beige yarn you can see here, the fluffy one, is Drops brushed alpaca silk in the color light beige. And last time I told you that I was thinking about just making the edges, so the cast on and cast off edges in the brushed alpaca yarn. However, I then thought that maybe, as this is a light beige fluffy yarn, that would look a little bit grubby after a while, but I still wanted to incorporate it somehow, so I decided to make some stripes on the yoke, just two, and then I'm gonna make one stripe on the bottom of the body and repeat these two stripes on the cuffs. Now, I'm not happy with what I did here. I think I should have done the stripes a little bit further down, because this is supposed to be a slightly rolled over edge neck, and due to this stripe it doesn't do that as much, and also if it does, the stripe disappears in the roll. And as I haven't knitted that much of this yet, I mean, this isn't a lot, I think I'm just gonna take it apart again and make the first stripe where I have the second one now, and the second one a little bit further down. I think it's just gonna look better and also lay nicer on like the chest. Yeah. So this is going to be a new project next time, because I'm going to take this apart, and I think this is also one I'm going to take to Luxembourg with me, because this yarn is quite rustic, so I'm guessing it will be very warm, and I don't want to finish it only once winter is over and then not be able to wear it until next year. Not the most optimistic episode this time, a lot of mistakes and having to start over, but yeah, I think sometimes it's better to start over than to knit something you are not going to wear afterwards. With the pink Shimo sweater, I I'm confident that I'm going to wear it either way, because I don't think anyone but me or another knitter is going to be able to see my mistakes. It's still going to be a nice sweater, and I really don't want to take apart mohair. That's also a reason. And for the last whip, this one I didn't show you last time, and I know some of you might be thinking right now, didn't you say you're not gonna buy any more yarn and want to finish the projects you have? Well, I don't think this counts. This is also not much yet. This is going to be a shawl for my mother. I'm pretty certain she doesn't watch this podcast. I don't think she knows how YouTube works. So don't mind talking about it here. Yeah, this is going to be a shawl for my mother as a birthday gift, because she always knits things for me, and I never knit anything for her, because she gets too hot too quickly with knitted garments. But she does like to have something on her shoulders when she's sitting outside in the spring or summer evenings, and I thought this would be quite a nice thing to make for her. I think she's gonna get some use out of it. And why this doesn't count as a yarn purchase is I would have spent the money anyway. If I wouldn't have spent the money on yarn, I would have spent it on a gift for her. So it's not that I would have saved anything if I hadn't bought this. Yeah, about the yarn and the pattern. The yarn I got is this. I actually made a poll on Instagram where you could choose the yarn I would use for this, and you picked this one, and it's also the one I was going towards, and my siblings also said that she would probably like this more. She really likes pink, mauvish, purple tones, and it is the let me see, Lana Grossa Comitolo Duo 400. I got it at a local yarn store. It was on sale actually. And it's a mix of merino and bamboo. The contents are 45% virgin wool, 30% viscose, and 25% polyamide. She doesn't mind having a more non-natural yarn, so I just picked a color I thought she would like. And the pattern, you can't see much yet here. It's the Celtic Myths pattern by, let me see, Azita Krebs. And I saw this on the Kreabea podcast. I think she made this for her aunt, and I really liked it, and I thought it would be nice to make it for my mother. Also, it's a free pattern, so I didn't have to buy another pattern. And yeah, the only thing I have to say is, when you're more on the beginner side, the pattern is hard. The fingering pattern is hard to understand because she doesn't go into much detail. The DK pattern is also for free, and there she explains a lot more of the process of knitting the shawl, so it's easier to have both patterns, the measurements of the fingering one and the numbers of the fingering one, but the instructions of the DK one. So I always have to, or not always, after a few rounds I memorize the pattern, but at the beginning I have to look at the DK pattern first. And her birthday is in mid-March, so I'll have to finish that until then, but I don't think that will be a problem. I will take this to Luxembourg with me as well, and then just leave it there, because I don't think I'm going to be home for her birthday, sadly. So I'm gonna give it to one of my siblings or my boyfriend to give it to her. So I'm guessing I'm taking almost all of my projects. If not all, I have to see. Hi, Vanessa from the future here. There's something I just wanted to add really quickly that I want to say at this point and kind of forgot to mention, and that is that I kind of stressed out by having this many rips at once. I never had as many rips as right now, and I don't know, it just kind of bothers me. So what I'm going to do is I will try and finish up some of these projects and not start a new one when I finish one, but I want to end up at a maximum of 2 whips at once. First of all, you don't have to choose what project to work on, you just have 2, so you work on one of the 2. And also I think it will feel more like progress when I work on something, because you only work on 2 things, so you automatically will be faster to finish these things. Yeah, because you don't jump in between all of these projects all of the time. So yeah, what I'm going to do is finish up some and end up at 2, and when I finish one of the 2, I can start a new one, but not like 4 or 5 rips at once, because it's not for me. I think I'm a like 1 or 2 project kind of person, and not a 10 projects at once kind of person, because I also noticed that I tend not to finish some things, and like for example the scarf, I'm not working on it, and I want to avoid that, because then I spend my money on yarn and my time on a project, and I'm not gonna finish it, and it's just gonna take up space, and I still want that garment, but I'm not as I just don't tend to work on it as much as on the other ones. And I think, yeah, I just want to say that real quickly. I want to let you watch the rest of this podcast, and I hope you don't mind me chiming in on a later point, just because I wanted to clarify this. Yeah. Now that we're on of my work in progress projects, and for new things, I don't have any yarn to show. I have one thing, and it's just 1 second. These needles and cable, because when I bought the yarn, I knew I wouldn't have any spare needles or cable to knit this. So I bought a set of interchangeable, not a set of, just a pair of interchangeable needles and cable. It's Lana Grossa interchangeable needles and cable. They are I think they are compatible with every Knit Pro needles and cables, so if I ever buy a bigger set, they are compatible. And regarding the bigger set, my goal was, for the not buying any yarn until I finished all of my projects thing, to buy a nice set of interchangeable needles at the end of it to reward myself. However, there was a needle set that had a very nice sale on Amazon. It was about, I think it was 10 euros or 15 euros less than it would usually be, so I did buy that already. I know it kind of ruins the whole concept of reward at the end, but I also thought, where's the logic behind wanting to save up some money when I'm going to have to spend more for it later on than now? So I already bought it, but I'm still gonna stick to my not buying any new yarn until I finished all of my projects thing. If you want to hear more about it, I go more in depth in my last episode. And while talking about yarn purchasing, I have some more yarn in Luxembourg, so I'm going to include some projects that I can make out of this into my yarn fast stash busting thing, because I will only live in Berlin for another 6 months, so I'm going to move back home in July when I finished my bachelor. I'm just finished my last semester where I have any courses. I now have a month break where I already have to make some research and plan for my bachelor, and then I have my bachelor semester, and I should be done in July, hopefully. And a thing I want to do before moving back to Luxembourg, where there are not a lot of nice yarn stores, is make a Berlin yarn store tour. So I'm going to go to each Berlin yarn store and see if I find anything nice. I don't have to buy something in every store, but there are also a lot of stores I have never been to. I will do this at the end of my time in Berlin, so in June or July. And until then, I will try to work only on projects that I already have the yarn for. And also, I am probably going to make a road trip through Denmark in the summer, COVID allowing. And I want to go to some yarn stores and factory yarn stores there. So yeah, I really have to save up some money to do these two things. And I don't want to spend potential money that could go to these things on impulse purchases throughout the year. And I also have a lot of yarn. And I also already have yarn for quite a few projects. After I finished all of the projects I showed to you, I have some things I could knit if I had there's just like a contrast color missing or something. And I am going to buy these, but only if I have finished the other projects. But I will show you more of the yarn I have and what I want to make with it in the next episode when I'm in Luxembourg again. And most of the time I have like a little sections in the end of my episodes where I talk about a specific topic, and this time I wanted to talk about what my intentions with this podcast really are, why I'm making it, and what I want to achieve with it. So my first intention is, of course, share my knits. Isn't it the nature of every knitter to want to show what you're making and just hold it into people's faces, like, look what I made? And yeah, this is the perfect platform to do this, isn't it? And my second reason is I want to share my knitting journey and document it so I can look back at what I made. I can talk about what I learned from different projects, and also show other beginner knitters that it's okay to make mistakes, and that everybody makes mistakes, and it is just a part of learning, as for example with my Shimo sweater now. And also get feedback on my projects from more experienced knitters. I think it's really interesting to read other people's ideas and tips and tricks in the comments down below, because it's this dialogue, and it's really helpful to me. For example, I know that I'm never gonna knit anything with a cotton blend yarn again without swatching it. And maybe I can also motivate the knitting pros to try new things and get out of a rut of maybe making similar things again and again, and motivate them to go back to learning and learn something they did not yet know. And also a big part to me why I'm making this podcast is because I want to become more of a part of the knitting community. I don't have a lot of people around me I can talk about knitting to, and I wanted to find a space where I can talk about my passion and where I can get to know some people that are also knitters and that maybe want to talk about it with me sometimes. And yeah, I just find that I just think that it's very important that when you're passionate about something, to also have a place to talk about it and people to talk about it with. And this is my way of reaching out to the knitting community and trying to build up a connection and find people to just be passionate about yarn with. I hope you can understand these reasons, and I hope you enjoy watching it. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. And yeah, if you want to see more of me, here's my Instagram handle. I also write it in the description down below. And I hope to see you again next time. I'll be back in Luxembourg then, as I said. And have fun with your knitting projects. Maybe you will learn something new, and I will see you next time. Bye!